Good afternoon. Call to order September 25th Economic Development Subcommittee meeting. We'll all rise and salute the flag.
Roll call of the subcommittee members. Councilor Morabito is absent. Councilor Novoselsky is absent. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Zambuto? Here. And Council Vice President Keefe?
Here.
Present.
Present. And we also have Councilor Guanasso, Councilor McKenna, Councilor Patch, and Councilor Zambuto in attendance.
We have one item on the agenda, Council Order 17-137, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo, that the mayor requests Mr. Dino DeFranzo and Tom O'Brien of the HYM Group to appear before the City Council to discuss the Suffolk Downs project.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilor Rotundo brought forth this motion, and we actually have in attendance tonight the proprietors of HYM, stakeholders, with the presentation they'd like to bring up. So I'd like to invite up Mr. Thomas O'Brien.
Is that good? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time this afternoon. It's an honor to be before you. This is our first in a long line of what we hope will be some really informative and helpful presentations on the Suffolk Downs site before you and before the full council, and frankly before a variety of different groups, all across the city. We're really excited about this. Just a quick administrative matter. We have a presentation that I think you guys have on a printed form in front of you, if that's okay. If you don't, and I have a bigger version of it if you'd like a larger version of that. Is everybody okay with, and I'm going to work off of that if that's okay. All right. So first, again, my name is Tom O'Brien. The name of our firm is the HYM Investment Group. We are based here in Greater Boston. We've been here, for me, I grew up here, lived here all my life, and made this my life's work beginning about 25 or 30 years ago, and have worked in a variety of different positions. I previously served as the director of the Boston Redevelopment Authority, and previous to that, I had worked in a variety of different finance-related positions, all having to do with real estate. And then after that, I worked for a couple of large real estate companies, one in New York and a couple of other places, and then said, I really think it would be great if I could do this for myself and with a group of partners based here in Boston, and we did that. My partner, Doug Manns, is here with me. Doug is responsible for development and planning and things like that with the HYM Investment Group. We have a great team of people who work with us across the board on all kinds of issues that come up in the course of trying to take on a large and complicated project like this one is, like Suffolk Downs is. We also do all our work with Dino DeFranzo. Dino is a consultant who has been a friend of mine now for probably 8 or 9 years, I think, and we've worked together on pretty much every project we've done across the greater Boston area. So that's a little bit on who we are. I do want to just refer you, if you go to the first page of the document that we gave you. So we're Boston-based. We have a significant amount of local development experience. So in addition to the work that we've done here in Revere already, if you turn the next page, you can get a sense of the kinds of things that we work on. So North Point is a large 45-acre site that is the former rail yard of the Boston and Maine Railroad, located just on the other side of the Charlestown Bridge, as you go from Charlestown into Cambridge. We acquired that site in August of 2010. We went through a whole process with the community in which we put the permits in place for a mixed-use project. It's a 5.5 million square foot mixed-use project with a variety of commercial office spaces, retail spaces, residential associated with mixed use. We also worked very carefully on a bunch of transportation issues that were part of that project, including the extension of the Green Line and a variety of other things that were needed to make that project happen. And we executed the construction of a mixed-use building, a building called 2020, which we're really proud of, with retail and residential above. We're really pleased with how it all came out. The most important part of this, that particular project that I wanted to convey to all of you folks is the piece that we're most proudest of is this was a project that for a long time had been kind of left by the wayside. I think there were a lot of people in the real estate and frankly in the political community who were not sure if this project could ever be developed, if there could be a process that could be put in place for someone to take it on and move the project forward. And we did that. And we were able to do that in a way where the neighborhood, in the end, supported us unanimously. There's a variety of neighborhood groups in East Cambridge and in Charlestown and in Somerville who came out in support of us. And so the piece that I think we're most proud of is having conducted a really strong public process and come out of it with a project that I think everybody's proud of, feels good about, is moving forward, and that the neighborhood feels good about as well. We did the same thing in the middle part of that page at Boston Landing. So Boston Landing is located on the campus of the New Balance shoe company. So as you may know, New Balance is based here in Boston. It's a privately owned company owned by a local family, wonderful local family committed to the region. And that family wanted to invest in a new campus. And so we've been working with that family now for 5 or 6 years or so to execute the development and to work with them in conjunction with them on development of the campus. It's, again, a mixed-use campus. It involves a very large headquarters building, almost 300,000 square feet for that company, for New Balance. It's clearly visible on the Massachusetts Turnpike as you go east or west. Next to that, we also developed a large office building, which can be either office or lab. The best part about that for me is it has a new practice facility for the Boston Bruins. So we built a new practice facility for the Bruins. For those of you who are Bruins fans out there, the Bruins have never had a practice facility located, within the boundaries of Boston, and we were able to get that done for them. And we put that whole thing together in a very expedited and quick fashion. So we're really pleased with that. The last piece that we're working on right now is a mixed-use project that involves retail and some residential above that's happening, and we delivered that next summer. We're also the people doing the redevelopment of Bullfinch Crossing, it's called. You would all recognize it as the Government Center Garage, which is the big, ugly, hulking garage right near downtown Boston, right near Boston City Hall. And we were able to put in place a plan that was permitted from the city of Boston. It's one of the largest mixed-use developments ever permitted in Boston. And we're in the midst of now delivering the first phase of that, which is a tower that is underway and will deliver in the summer of 2020. So these are all the kinds of pieces that we've worked on, the kinds of things that we've done. And again, as I say, what we're really proud of is a strong public process and working hard. Each of these projects has with them a series of issues that have to do with transportation-related improvements or mitigation in communities, numerous community meetings, ton of things to do with elected officials and things like that. And so as each of you know, we've spent some time with each of you individually. We love doing that work, and that's characteristic of the kinds of things that we do. On the next page are some of the relevant projects, some of which I've already talked about, so I won't dwell too much longer on these, but these are all mixed-use projects that we've done, throughout the region. So then the next page, I think I'm on the third or fourth page, is the beginning of a piece on Suffolk Downs. So we're really proud of the fact that we were able to acquire Suffolk Downs in May of 2017. Suffolk Downs was owned by a wonderful group for a long period of time. It's a group that we all knew well. I think that group had kind of reached a certain point where they were ready to pass it on to somebody who does the work that we do. And so we're proud that we're in this spot. I will tell you, it's kind of humbling. The time that we've spent with all of you folks has made it clear to us what a responsibility we have and how important it is that we work hard to get this right. We understand that the community for a long time has been looking at this site and recognized it as an opportunity, a place that can create jobs, a place that can be a terrific retail node, a place that can improve all of the areas around Beachmont and the neighborhood of Beachmont. And the way we see this, and I just wanted to make sure I said this just at the outset, right up front, I recognize that this is a big site. This is 161 acres. It's one of the biggest sites in Greater Boston. I further recognize that a substantial portion of the site is located in Boston, so approximately 60% or so is in Boston, but 40% of the site is in Revere. And we see no difference across the site between Revere and Boston. In other words, we see one site, one place, one opportunity, one neighborhood. And frankly, we look at the two MBTA stations, the Suffolk Downs Station on the one side and the Beachmont Station on the other side, and we look at them both and we say, this is going to be a wonderful place. This is not going to be a situation where, as perhaps some of you have feared it might happen in the past or whatever, where Boston might get something good and Revere might get something not so good. We see it as one site with one place, great opportunity. We've spent a ton of time with Councilor McKenna, and we really feel great about the Beachmont neighborhood. And we love the opportunity to become neighbors, good neighbors to the Beachmont neighborhood, and to create improvements along how the bus routes work along Beachmont Station. Think about how we can make immediate improvements to traffic and the way the Beachmont Station kind of empties out with people as they come across that plaza. So we're really excited about this piece, and we're here genuinely because we care about the entire site in both the Revere side and the East Boston side. A little bit more on schedule. We closed in May of 2017, as each of you know. We have continued with racing. So the racing continues. The previous owner has a lease from us to run the racing operation together with the online gaming operation that happens on a daily basis. They run that, and so while we own the property, they have a lease to run those pieces. The live racing continued for 8 races this year, 8 racing days, I'm sorry. And then next year, the proposal is for there to be another 6 racing days, which is fine with us, although if we're able to land a large commercial tenant, if we have to disrupt that, we're trying to keep our eye on being smart in the long term. So we like the racing. We certainly are concerned about the jobs that are there. The people who work in the racing industry, and as part of that right now, have been promised jobs at the new casino in Everett. And so we like the fact that the timing could work out where those people could continue to run the racing operation through 2018 and then merge into the casino operation, which opens in 2019. So those are all good things for us. We've been conducting kind of small group meetings and small one-on-one meetings with people. We're now at the stage, beginning with this meeting. This is the first meeting we've done. Actually, frankly, this is the first large community or official meeting that we've done in any community, frankly, either East Boston or Revere. This is the first time we've done this work, which we're proud to do here with all of you. And then this kind of kicks off a process in which we'll do more of these. Again, we've talked to Councilor McKenna about doing some of this work with the Friends of Belle Isle Marsh and Beachmont neighborhood organizations, and we're more than happy to meet with all of you in groups that you think are appropriate as well. But we're focusing a lot on Councilor McKenna and Councilor Novoselsky, as you know, those neighborhoods, wards 1 and 2, where we're really directly affected. If you turn the page, we put in here a sheet that tells you about our team. So I've already talked to you about our company, the HYM Investment Group, but also I wanted to note that we have CBT, which is a locally based architectural firm, which is our planning firm that has been working with us throughout. We also have Stas as a landscape architect, wonderful group that focuses on a lot of different pieces of open space, but have a particular specialty in water-based work, particularly climate change-related work. PCA, Prelowich Chilinsky, which is a architectural firm that specializes in retail. We really want to focus in on making sure that, right from the get-go, that we get the retail right. And so Prelowich Chilinsky has a very specific and strong practice in that. So we've been with those folks, all the way through. We have a VHB who works with us on environmental and those sorts of things. Then we have civil engineer in Bills and Thomas, and we add people as we're going along through this whole group. Just want to go into some site opportunities and some challenges. So, I think each of you has certainly knows the site well, but we put in some pictures here to just give you a sense of some of the challenges that exist. There are entrances that exist that need to be improved over time as we create new entrances, new opportunities. The grandstand will obviously come down. That's a major demolition process at some point. The grandstand interior, you can see there's a lot of concrete that's going to get demoed and removed from the site as we go through it. the stables or the horse barns on that side of it. I think people, remember a nicer day when there were more horses there, but those stables and those horse barns are not in great shape. Trust me, they're not. They really are ready to be demolished, most of them, if you really walk around them and tour them. There are, however, significant wetlands that are really important. We've gone through a process. Doug led this effort all the way through the summer. We've gone through a process of mapping and understanding the wetlands, kind of carrying on the work that the previous owners have done. And we really think that we can incorporate and improve on the wetlands and use that in terms of our water management and really celebrate the wetlands as a part of our open space system that we're really excited about. There are some significant site constraints that I think all of you would know well if you turn the page on this. There are some significant site constraints. There's the oil tanks, which everybody know well. I think our feeling on the oil tanks is if we do our jobs right, that over time, this isn't a tomorrow thing, but over time, that there will be opportunities to rearrange that and hopefully create a better use for that portion of the site than are the oil tanks. But as you know, we do not own the oil tanks. That's not part of our site. Those are privately owned companies, two different companies, as you folks, I'm sure no doubt know. In addition to that, the shopping plaza, which is on the other side of the oil tanks, but also abuts our site. We do not own that. That's owned by a separate real estate company. It's a publicly owned real estate investment trust, which is based in the Midwest. So we do not own that. However, we are working to try and stay in contact with them and work with them to make some improvements for the community around how people arrive at the shopping center, transportation, and particularly how they can make their way to the MBTA bus. So we're working on all those pieces as well. The Route 1A entrance that you folks also know well, these are all boundaries to the site that we'll work on, improving and making better as we think through the redevelopment. If you turn the page, there are some great opportunities working with the transit that exists on the site. So you can see that there are two stations, the Beachmont and the Suffolk Downs station. Both stations, of the two stations, I would say the Beachmont station from just a care and upkeep perspective is probably in better shape than the Suffolk Downs station. But both are really important to us in terms of people's access to Boston and job opportunities and things like that. But I would say, too, we see these stations as opportunities to bring people to the site. So we believe that if we do our jobs right in the very beginning and create really outstanding mixed-use developments that have great retail and offer places for people to live on site, that the employers will follow them. So we see this site, our vision for this is a true mixed-use development that involves the opportunity for large commercial office users, one of which, I think people are assuming that we're spending time going after, and we are. We think that, it's perfectly appropriate for us to swing for the fences a little bit with this site. I think a lot of times people have looked at it and said, maybe we're a back office site or whatever. We think we're a great site, and we think we can compete for any commercial office tenant or any life science tenant that's out there if we set the table right in the very beginning with mixed use opportunities and great retail and things like that. And these two Blue Line stations play an important part of that. You folks know the surrounding neighborhoods. We just, we identify them just to make sure that folks have these pieces, clear and out front. Orient Heights on the East Boston side, looking south. The Beachmont neighborhood, which is also, wonderful neighborhood, strong neighborhood with strong history. Revere Beach and the Boardwalk, the Beachmont retail. I just came from the Bagel Bin, and so the Shirley Street retail and supporting that, all those pieces, those are all things that we know well, and we care deeply about trying to make sure that we enhance and serve as good neighbors to all of you. The next section we put in here was some pieces on our vision for the site. So as you can see in that first page, we see this as a mixed-use, walkable neighborhood. So if you will just stand with us on that site at some point, we'd be happy to take more of you out there to do tours and do kind of a walk around at your convenience. As you stand there and look at it, it's hard sometimes to envision what can happen. But because of where we are and because of the location, because of the two Blue Line stations, we see this as a great place that can be a wonderful walkable neighborhood. We see this as first floor retail. This is neighborhood retail, great restaurants. This is not, big box retail. This is walkable. We've compared it. Some people have asked us, they said, well, what's it going to be like? How do we, and so we said, well, maybe Assembly Row, maybe something like that, but we think we can do a better job. We're competitive in that respect, and I think that's really the kind of thing that if you were to press me and say, what's it going to be like? We want it to be like walking down a mixed-use street like that, like an Assembly Row sort of a development. So that's really how we see this, and these pictures are very emblematic of the kinds of things that we would like to make happen. As I said, neighborhood retail. So the kinds of retail, and we've already started this process for us. It's not too soon for us to start to think about the kinds of restaurants that we want to have here. So we continue to spend on all our projects a ton of time with the new generation of folks who are creating, really cool stuff, really cool restaurants, interesting menus, things like that. But also too, within the restaurants, I think a couple things that people have added to us is, function space. There are not many places in Revere that offer the opportunity for there to be function space within a restaurant. So those are the sorts of things that we'd want to make sure we pay attention to on the detail side to manage those sorts of pieces. So we're really excited about moving that forward and delivering that. The next page is economic development. So as I said just a few minutes ago, we see this as a great place and a great opportunity to create jobs. This is not simply a place that will have restaurant retail with some residential above. What we see this is economic development. If we do our jobs right, as I said earlier, we can attract a great commercial tenant. That's what we think. These two Blue Line stations, the proximity to Boston, the proximity to the water, Revere Beach, all the different great qualities that you folks know well about Revere. We think that those sorts of things will be attractive to a commercial office tenant, and so that's what we're after is to try and make that work. That's our goal. Again, you folks have probably heard a little bit about this big tenant that people are kicking around, and we're in that game. We think we're the right kind of place for it. We're going to fight for that, but it's also, if it's not that one, we're going to fight for another one. So that's just kind of how we are. We want to make sure that we think about this site as a special site because we truly believe that it is. Open space and parks. So at this point, we believe at least 25% of the site is going to be available for open space and great parks, which will translate to about 40 acres, which we're really excited about. That's going to be a significant amount of open space. And so really our task is to make sure that we design the open space in a way where it creates opportunities for people for there to be active space, playing fields and things like that, as well as less active space for people to simply stroll or walk along or, sit on a bench and read a book or whatever, dog parks and things like that. So the open space is a key part of how we'll redevelop it. And everything that we'll do, on this next slide, will be around transit-oriented development. That's really fundamental to what we are. It's, just about every project that we've worked on, in fact, every project that we've worked on has a transit-oriented nature to it. So this is really going to be kind of the textbook case of transit-oriented development. It makes sense because of the two Blue Line stations, and we're going to orient ourselves around those two Blue Line stations. The last slide we put in there has to do with resiliency and sustainability. We live in a world where the oceans are changing, and there's a significant amount of change on water events as well. And so it's incumbent on us to think through the design of the site in a way to be able to manage water for what's happening in the future. And all of the regulatory bodies, both here in Revere as well as in the state and in the city of Boston, will care about how we'll manage that. And the basic idea that we'll bring to this is because there are such great wetlands opportunities, such great green spaces already on the site, we want to use those open spaces and those green spaces to manage the water so that we can take advantage of the opportunity to manage water off-site. A couple things I just want to say on this that have come up in a couple of different conversations. We get how important it is that the DCR gate that exists at the base of Sales Creek, that piece does not change from its current situation. So, so that's outflow only, not inflow, and we're going to keep it that way. We've spent a ton of time with people, kind of working all that through, and that's important to the neighborhoods that have experienced flooding in the past to be able to manage that appropriately. But we do think that using that same piece will allow us to continue to move water off the site. So that's kind of an important part of this. And it creates, a really exciting opportunity for us for sustainability to manage the site. Remember, one of hard parts for cities as they think about sustainability and climate change. The hard part is you have a built environment, you have built buildings already, and so the question then becomes, well, what do you do? Do you raise up these buildings? Do you raise up the site around it? What do you do? We have a set site that offers us a huge opportunity just from the get-go to do this right from the very beginning. And so, that to us is the big opportunity. So these are the basic principles that we'd like to bring to the site. We're excited about the work that we've done, so far with you folks. You guys have given us a tremendous amount of great feedback. We're excited about moving forward. A little word on schedule. We are continuing, to do these meetings, continuing to try and work our way through on a plan. We do not yet have a plan that's formally ready to be presented to you, but we are expecting that around the end of November, we should be ready with such a plan in which we, hope to file. Our expectation is we'll file both in Boston and in Revere at the same time, and so we'll begin a process in the two communities at the same time and move forward. Our hope is that as we complete that process with you folks, we want to begin the construction of our first phase by the end of 2018. So we want to be in the ground and moving dirt around this time next year. I know that's a kind of an aggressive schedule, but it's important to us. We really want to start to get moving on this project. Our first phase, we have a great group of investment partners who are with us on this, and our first phase is really all about making a huge impact on the site. This is not a phased operation in which maybe we build one building, one lonely building, and expect that the site is suddenly going to be recognized as a great place to be. We recognize that you need to build a significant chunk of buildings. So 1 million square feet is not too big for us in that first phase, which is really exciting for us to try and move that forward. So that's us. Happy to take questions or not, or stay for as long as you folks need us to.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Certainly a very nice presentation, and I think you were able to answer a lot of the questions I had, but I know that some of the fellow councilors may have some. I also wanted to note that Councilor Novoselsky, Councilor Powers, and Councilor Morabito have come, but we have Councilor McKenna who would like to ask a question.
Hi, Tom. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I just want to know what your relations are with Boston. Have you had any pushback, or are they on board with this? And, just your relations with Boston.
It's been really positive so far. Thank you, Councilor. It's been really positive. The work that we've done with you is a mirror of we've done the same kind of work in East Boston. I would say from the mayor of Boston through to all the local elected officials in East Boston, to the neighborhood leadership, everybody's been really positive, really excited to move forward. I feel really good about everybody's acknowledgement that this is going to be a great mixed-use site, and people really want to see us move forward. So, thank you.
Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President and Mr. Chairman in this instance. I certainly don't represent exactly Ward 1, but I can tell you, rest assured, I've spent more time at that location than probably the whole city council put together. I've been many, many days of enjoying that venue, and I know exactly its beauty and its ugly side. I certainly think that the way you and your partnership have come forward and to offer out your services to our community in the hopes of a great investment for all of us is worthwhile. I certainly believe that the two scenarios that we have going, the two game plans that we have going before us, we can't lose in either one. I think either one would be great. So obviously, like you've stated, why not shoot for the moon? Because I think that all the criteria that was spelled out, the public transportation, a national airport right nearby, all those ingredients, and you certainly have the land area, 161 acres, is beneficial to the project. But if that doesn't work out, this is a great plan B. And I think that my family lives near the Market Street shopping area in Linfield. And I'll tell you, it's just a beautiful, wonderful place to shop. It's like going out for a day of enjoyment. When you walk the streets of that shopping area, it's not a shopping area. It's an absolutely treat to go there. And when my wife asked me to go, generally, when she asked me to go shopping, my first reaction is, not really, I don't want to go. But when she says, let's go to Market Street, I say, yeah, you know why? Because there's so many nice things. It's just a great place to shop. I went, just bore you for 1 second, I went to the Apple location there 2 weeks ago. What an experience that was. That was just great. And the way they did everything was so wonderful. And if we can bring that to our community, then I think the city of Revere is going well. And I think that this development, and I know in the few times I've met you and your partners, the way you present yourself, Mr. O'Brien, is certainly first class. And I think that the city of Revere will be the benefactor of this. And certainly its citizens will love the finished product because you do good work. I was there in Mass General 41 years. I was there when you were starting to work down the site that you were at, and wow, what a change. I was there when I started in 1963, and so I know the old elevator and all the ugliness that was existing at Knott Station. Today, you go there, it's a different world, and it's all because of people like yourself that know how to develop and put a good finished product on the table. So congratulations. We look forward to working with you, and again, I don't think we can lose in any development that comes forward. I think our city will be well deserved and well represented if this comes forward.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr.
Appreciate it.
Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Morbido?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. O'Brien, first I want to say thank you for giving each of us an opportunity to meet with you and being very receptive to our feedback. I'm very happy that you said Revere was going to get more than get its fair share, and I think each of us on the council want to make sure that we get our fair share. We don't want to just end up with the open space, or the parking. Some of the things I'm concerned, well, I'm not really concerned about the project, but the entrance and exit out of the parking lot, is it going to be the same? It's going to remain the same? Are they going to widen it?
It'll be very different. When we come back, I don't have details to present to you right now because a lot of what we have to do with the planning team is work through the process of thinking through how the streets line up, how the open space lines up, all those different pieces. And so the streets may align a little bit differently, and some will be, wider, some might be a little narrower. So it will be very different. You have to envision a day when, when the fences and the horse barns come down. That's what we would call kind of a permeable end of the site. It's a nice opportunity to really reconnect the site to the surrounding neighborhood. So all those pieces will be totally different. So when we come forward with the plan, we'll have a variety of details for you that I
Also,
think
it
you
might change if there's a certain commercial business that signs on.
Yes.
So that would be hopeful for our city because it would house 50,000 jobs.
Yeah. No promises on that, by the way. I just want to be sure that,
Yeah.
especially Councilor Gianasso, the way we think of this is it's kind of Plan A and Plan 1A. You know what I mean? So we're swinging for the fences, but we have a great plan. Whatever happens with that particular tenant.
No, I like that attitude that you're swinging for the fences. So we look forward to working with you. Good luck.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Janino?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also had the opportunity to meet with this group, and I got to say it's a real first-class group, and we're happy to have you in our city and wanting to work with our community and be involved and have these community meetings and really take the time to get a feel for our community. And I think that's the first thing we can ask in our developers, get to know us and have a project that fits who we are. And that's the first thing that you did, so I applaud you for that, and that really was great. I think that if you go to a development like my colleague spoke about, on Market Street or an Assembly Row, and you see these beautiful walkable areas, that's what we want. If you go to Market Street, there's green space, there's grass, and there's playgrounds, and they have yoga classes and all sorts of events outside on that open space. And I know some of your developments in Boston have that as well. And I think that any time that we have an opportunity to bring that into our city and have a real neighborhood feel in a commercial development, what else could you ask for? There's your commercial revenue, commercial assets for our city, places to shop, eat, invest in our community, but also a space that our residents can enjoy and have that feel of being in a neighborhood, another part of our city. I think that's really great, and I look forward to seeing more, and I hope that those big commercial tenants come in as well, but that's really going to be the key to this project. So thank you guys for all that you do, and thank you for taking the time to get to know who we are. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor.
Hey, Councilor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. O'Brien, for a great presentation. My only disappointment is that the residents didn't get to see it yet. So we're gonna need to.
We gave it to.
I know we had
we'll
some
get back.
technical difficulties here, but this really needs to be seen by people because there's a lot of buzz out there of what's happening, who are these people? Now, some of us know that HYM is a premier group and has done some stellar projects, but I dare say most of my citizens don't know that, and we need to get that out. I, as one city councilor who's been here a long time, am thrilled that your group has purchased Suffolk Downs, and I know that the transformation there will be beyond anybody's expectations. Maybe not mine, maybe not some of my colleagues, but I really want to get out the message, and I'd like to get this slide presentation out to the people just to give them a feel of what's going to happen down there, because there's a lot of angst, as there isn't any development, but like you say, 138 acres, this is the biggest thing since I don't know what, but it's obviously the biggest thing that's ever happened to Revere. So all I have is praise, and that's not normal for me. But I know your reputation. It precedes you, and it's stellar. And we are lucky to have you here, and I know you're going to do a fantastic job. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor. And we're working to try and get that on Revere TV to make sure that people have that. So we'd like for people to have it as soon as possible. Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Thank you. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. I must admit, I haven't frequented Suffolk Downs as many times as Councilor Ganasso, but I do have a strong historical attachment to it, and I was born the day that first race was run over there.
Awesome.
Okay, July 10th. I won't mention the year.
Yeah?
I have one concern, and it's, you know, the horsemen in this city have been very good to the city, and a lot of them live here. And without jeopardizing any potential development whatsoever, I would hope that the horsemen and their affiliates would be given every consideration with regard to the stable area, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the project is concerned, I look on your reputation. You've certainly done a great job in the city of Boston. The comment I hear mostly from people that are concerned not only with Suffolk Downs, but with Wonderland is, you know, what's going there? Are there going to be any upscale stores? Are there going to be any upscale restaurants? And I think that's a valid concern, because there are many people in this city that go to Boston to frequent some of the more higher-end establishments. I remember in 1960 what Northern Avenue looked like. And I go down there today, and sometimes I get a little mixed up, and I think I'm on Newbury Street or Boylston Street. But I guess that's what I would be looking to see down there, among certainly other things. What I'm not looking to see are a lot of apartments on the Revere side. I don't think that, you know, that does anything for us. What I'd like to see down there are upscale and mid-range restaurants and shops where people could go, walk around, similar to Market Street, similar to Northern Avenue, and that area there. And I certainly feel very good that you're the lead person on this, that you're looking at the city in a positive manner. I think it's an ideal spot because of the airport, because of the 2 MBTA stations, and all of the other. We have a lot of development going into the city right now. A lot of them, we're told, being rented to millenniums, people with a strong disposable income. And I think that disposable income could very well play an important role in Suffolk Downs in Wonderland. So again, I thank you for your presentation. I think Councilor Zambudo makes an excellent point. when he talks about getting this information in some type of video or slideshow or some type of a disc or something that could be given to the people in the neighborhood. So I think it's important because I hear the same questions that Councilor Zambudo does. What's going there? What's happening? Is it going to be apartments? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? And I think we have to get that information out there, and I look forward to seeing that happen. And I thank you very much for your presentation today. Thank you.
May I just
Yes,
two quick?
Mr. O'Brien.
So thank you, Councilor Powers. If I might just make 2 points. One is on the horsemen. So I just want to make clear a couple of quick things. One is the horsemen continued to work on race days for the previous owners who have a lease from us. So we don't have a direct engagement with the horsemen. Here's the way we've tried to set this up, though, which is just a quick reminder. There were 8 race days this year, and the expectation is that there will be 6 race days next year. And then my understanding, I don't know this firsthand, but my understanding is that in the new casino to be built, the people who have been employed both as horsemen as well as just generally in the business at Suffolk Downs have a right of first offer to get a job at the new place. And so our hope is that the timing can work out well for people to be able to make that transition in 2018 to the opening of the casino in 2019. That's our hope. So we don't have a direct relationship with the horsemen, but we really encourage the effort to make sure that works. And if I could just add a second point on your discussion about the retail and the residential. So we totally see this. We together with an investor group, we paid a lot of money for this site. And so we see this as a very high-end site that will have terrific opportunities for retail, great retail, all those things. We're going to invest a lot of money in this thing. So we see it as the Linfield Markets. We see it as Assembly Road. We see it as that kind of a street for people to walk down. And I would say, of the potential of residential, we see this also as a place that will have a mix of residential, not just for millennials. We see there as being a significant opportunity for housing for seniors, for families, for a variety of different people at different stages of their lives. That's how we see it. We see it as a true mixed-use community that we think is going to be really one of the best places to be, both to shop and to work and all those things. We're excited about it.
Once again, I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
And Council Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Welcome again, Tom. I know we were talking about 30 acres of open space. 40 acres. What type of things are you putting in there? Dog parks, basketball, baseball, soccer? I don't know. I don't know what the
Definitely
size.
see dog parks. We definitely see what I would call playing fields. We will work with you folks to identify whether they should be baseball fields, soccer fields, or whatever that should be. You folks, this body and others will have a better feel for what the community most needs for those kinds of fields. But we definitely see a range of active use, what we call active use, so playing fields and things like that, to dog parks, to more passive use, so places where people can walk, sit on a bench, hang out, read a book, all those things.
Now the question is, which side of the buildings of the city line is, who's going to get what?
Both sides will get similar amounts. I'm not sure if it's exactly equal, just because the line, how the line works and all the rest of it, but there will be very nice open space in both cities. So if you can allow me the chance to come back in detail with that, but both cities will get great open space, great commercial development, great retail, all those things.
That's terrific. So, I'm a recreation person, so when I look at kids and what's going on, like Councilor Keefe, one other issue is traffic and how we're going to handle the roadways coming in and out of that package. I know Thomasella Road between McClellan Highway and also Revere Beach Parkway are dangerous intersections, coming in and out. And I want to make sure that, we look at whether there's be another set of traffic lights on the McClellan Highway side, and working with Redgate on working on the lights at VFW, at Riviera Parkway. We've had numerous bad accidents on the Parkway, and we really have to keep a close eye on that and make sure those light cycles are proper and don't give people a chance to beat them when they can.
So there's a number of categories to think about on the transportation piece. So, the first category that we really focused on at the time that we thought about acquiring the property was the Blue Line. So the Blue Line, we anticipate that there will be a significant reliance on the Blue Line from our site. The Blue Line is right now the best performing line of all the MBTA lines. There's a significant amount of capacity available on the Blue Line today. Blue Line, they run 12 trains a day today, back and forth, and they have 2 trains that lie, in waiting, ready to be put into service if one of the trains goes down. So it's an unusual situation. The MBTA, I think, told us that the on-time rate of the Blue Line today is 98%, which is pretty solid, I think, for the T. And the T operations team that we've spent some time with really is focused on taking that and improving it even further. So they have a capital maintenance program which is focused on taking pieces out of service before they break down, which sounds logical to all of us, but it's a huge move for the T to be able to get a line into that position where they have scheduled replacement of maintenance items rather than waiting for them to break down. So from a Blue Line perspective, we're going to rely a lot on the Blue Line, but there is significant capacity, and there are opportunities to increase that capacity with improved signalization, with improved train flow, and the opportunity to add those 2 additional trains that sit in abeyance right now. So the first big bucket that we think about is the Blue Line and thinking about the work with the T. In addition to that, the roadway improvements, which is kind of the other piece of this, there's already been a significant amount of work done on that whole corridor, whether it was the casino proposal or other pieces that have come along. So we're building off of that to think this through. The one key thing to remember about our site is this will be a phased development. So even though it's 161 acres, it will take us a number of years to build that out. 161 acres is 4 times the size of our development at North Point. So this is a huge development. It'll probably take us 15 years. Without this big commercial tenant that we're all talking about, it'll probably take us at least 15 years to build this out, which means that the first couple of phases, can get in and we can manage those pieces, but we'll need some additional transportation improvements that will have to happen on the roadside, certainly as we move into the next group of phases after the first couple. So when we come before you and start to present these things, we'll have, kind of thought these pieces through. Every project that we work on these sorts of things with MassDOT, with the MBTA. We spend a lot of time with those state agencies and thinking these things through. So we'll have a plan for how we think that through with you.
Cool. And, I know the Wellington Circle package took 15 years to get to where it is now.
Yeah.
So we have a similarity of what's going on there.
And maybe our site can be the catalyst to get some of these things. There's a lot of things that can be done that you and we know are on the board, have been on the boards for a while. Our site can be the catalyst to get them done.
One last thing. To and from the MBTA stations, to any of the facilities, shuttle type,
Yeah, on-site.
monorail type, I don't know.
Not monorail, but definitely shuttles and improving the access. I think that, if you just focus on Beachmont Station, and we've done this with Councilor McKenna, I'd be happy to do it with anybody else. If you stand there and you kind of really walk around, Beachmont Station, there's obvious improvements that can be made that we want to make happen. We think the way the entrance to the station, sits today, making it more pedestrian friendly, opening it up, allowing for better access for the buses. The buses today, it's a tight squeeze, and so the buses, when they're dropping off, that's causing traffic problems, obviously. The way the buses drop off and work around by where the supermarket, where the plaza is, all those sorts of things are things that we can work on right now, which we're trying to do, with Councilor McKenna and others of you to try and make these things work. So we're, we think as you step back and look at these stations, there's clear opportunities to improve the pedestrian flow, make them more welcoming, make them better stations. And that doesn't necessarily mean, work on the station itself. It's the areas around it. So that's what we're focused on.
Well, I look forward to this, and this one I hope really goes through.
We bought it. We're in it.
Well, I've heard a lot of good things. I know some of the projects you're working on in Boston at the Haymarket Square, and I think we're going to see a lot of good things coming down the road, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
You're welcome. And Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you for coming, Mr. O'Brien. It's been a while since we spoke before, and I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity several weeks ago at a very early stage as we got to know each other a little bit. I kind of stressed the anxiety of the people the way it is today in Revere as far as rental property, and I would like to see that, I'll explain before, that to be successful, I think we're going to have to see a higher percentage of commercial, and so I'm going to leave it very brief because, like before, I have confidence in you. I've also did my research, and you've been very successful in your projects. And but I just want to say again to you how the people in Revere feel, and there is a lot of anxiety out there. So I wish you good luck, and any help you need, I'll be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. And I'll wrap it up with a few brief comments. Mr. O'Brien, thank you very much for coming here and your presentation. I think there's a lot of excitement. It's very early in the stages, as we all know, but I think it's important to start giving tidbits of information to the residents of Revere, what the future is going to look like, because this project, no doubt, will impact the majority of Revere, regardless of it being just tucked in one corner. It's such a large project. The hopes is that it impacts us in the most positive fashion with great paying jobs, great activities for people to do. We talk a lot about, I know you had mentioned Assembly Row. A lot of residents come to us and they say, why don't they do projects like that? I was involved in Legacy Place in Dedham, the implementation of that. I was involved in Linfield Market Streets, the implementation of that, and then Assembly Row, all in that order. Each one of those projects got progressively better. I remember opening a Legacy Place in 2008 or so, and I said, wow, 2009, and I said, wow, this is a great project. And it was an old rundown theater. And then we went to Linfield Market Streets, and it was an old golf course. And I said, wow, this is an unbelievable project. It blew Legacy Place out of the water. And then when we did Assembly Row, I actually, in 2005, when they were starting to talk about that, I said, there's no way. It's an old parking lot in the back of Somerville, and I think you see a lot of stolen cars and people pushing shopping carts in the back there. And they blew everything out of the water. So the expectation is if you do something like that in Revere, that we one up all of them and we show them how good Revere can do it. If that is Plan 1A, then that's great, or 1B, whatever you would call it, that's a great plan. If 1A is the Amazon plan, just let me know when you're going to go pitch them. I'll be happy to come there with my Prime membership and explain to them how much we want them in Revere. We'd like to have them, but either or, we'd be happy with either plan. We've done a significant amount of research, and we know that you put out some really good product, and we just hope that you're going to bring your best to Revere. I just we've had conversations before, and they've been very positive, and I asked you, and I'll reiterate my two biggest questions or requests. One is that you become an active member of our community, and we'd appreciate that, and I think that you have done that in your other communities, so continue to be, HYM should be an active member of Revere. And two is no surprises. The city council, or at least myself, will not surprise you as long as you don't surprise us. Surprises sometimes tend to be bad, so no surprises and you won't have any from us, but we look forward to a partnership. Thank you.
We don't like surprises either.
No.
We really intend on being great community members, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
Well, if there's no other questions, that concludes our meeting of the Revere Economic Development Subcommittee. Thank you. Have a great night.